You want to make music like Super Mario Galaxy? Well, I listened to the whole soundtrack and I think I've figured out all the composition techniques they used. In this video, I'll walk you through how I made this. Almost every song in this OST has the structure. The melody is like one phrase and then it repeats, but it's a variation of it, and then it goes into a cadence. So that's what I'm gonna do here. So you can hear it's like that's the first one, and then the second part, that's the variation. It's like mostly the same, but just that end part's a little different. And then it goes into that cadence where it goes to the C, which is the one. Those two notes at the end there is me setting up a 6-7-1 cadence, which is like absolutely iconic for Mario music. It was like most iconically used in Super Mario Brothers for like when you complete a level. I've got those notes there. Those are like the fifths of those chords. So once I put the chords in, you're gonna see how that lines up. I'm founding the groove with those staccato strings, and I said habanero rhythm. I really meant habanero rhythm, but I was really referring to like the 3-3-2 rhythm. That is absolutely everywhere in the OST. So you can hear at the end there, that's that Mario cadence. Even though we're in C major, I just used the flat 6 and the flat 7 because those are both major chords when you build them off of the flat 6 and the flat 7. Normally, if you were to do a 6 chord and then a 7 chord in C major, it would be a minor chord and then a diminished chord, which is not very cadence worthy. But if you do it in minor, the 6 to the 7 to the 1 is literally just 3 major chords in a row. So it's very grandiose. Oh yeah, and in the chord progression, you can see when it goes from that F chord down to that A chord, there's that C to B to A motion, which is kind of the same as like if you were in A minor and you were going from a 3 to the 2 to the 1. Like that's pretty commonly done in the Mario Galaxy OST as well. Like I think the most iconic would be in Gusty Garden Galaxy. And then now I'm writing my counter melody played by a different instrument. So I got the clarinet playing the main melody, and then I got the flute playing the counter melody. It's got the same rhythm, but it's just different notes. They do these like big runs across multiple octaves a bunch. A lot of the songs in this OST, for the A section, they do this melody variation cadence thing twice, and then they go into the B section, and like the second time that they do it, there's like something new, and a lot of time what that is it's another instrument that's just kind of riffing over the top of that melody. Since you've already heard the melody one time, you can introduce a new melody on top of it, and it won't be too much for your brain to process. So I'm just adding this guitar here. Castanets. And I got castanets playing the same rhythm as the strings. And then, of course, the piccolo snare for that marching feel. And I actually take the room volume and turn it way down, because I noticed that these songs are actually, like, pretty dry. You wouldn't think that they would be, but I think it's just because they want to leave room for sound effects in-game. I'm adding this, like, very not real sounding cymbal, because I noticed that, like, there's a lot of electronic drums in this OST, and not a lot of acoustic drums. You pretty much just have that acoustic snare and, like, occasional timpani like I'm adding here. But when a lot of the songs just have purely electronic drums, which I think is interesting. So now I'm going to my B section, and the B section, usually how the B sections go in these songs is they change the chord progression, so it'll start on a different chord, or just go to a different key entirely, and it'll have some slightly different instruments, but the groove is always the same. So you're going to hear here, I'm going from C major to D minor. Typically, if it is going to shift a key, it's going to be like an adjacent key on the circle of fifths, which D minor is an adjacent key to C. In the B section, they don't usually do the melody variation cadence thing. The melody is kind of more drawn out. Pretty much, like, a lot of time, the cadence in the A section is gonna end back on the one chord, which in this case is the C major chord. So I gotta go from C major to D minor. I just kind of work backwards usually. I know that the 5 is gonna resolve into the 1. So if I want to resolve into D minor, I gotta go to an A chord, because that's a 5 of D. And then it's like, okay, well, how do I get to an A? Well, the 5 of that is an E chord. So I can go from a C chord to an E chord, and then I can just go to the A and then to the D. I get the staccato strings in there, same groove. So I'm doing something kind of interesting there with the chords. It starts on the minor, but then when it resolves back to the D chord, I just replace it with the D major chord. So it kind of has that, like, uplifting resolution. And since I took the castanets out of the start, I just put them in here. Really doing like a really major sounding resolution here. This sort of sound is everywhere. It's basically just a sine wave, but it's got like a glide, so it slides between the notes. And they pretty much always do like an arpeggio with this, where they just take the notes of the chord and kind of walk up and down them. It might have a little bit of an overtone on it, so I just added that. I don't think it's like a significant thing. Nice, dude. Something that I didn't put in my notes, but is definitely true about this soundtrack. Most of the songs, they start with like this short pickup, and then they go into like this little intro that's like a few bars that just kind of lays down the groove. And then after a couple bars of that, then they go into the A section. I'm starting to just kind of working backwards again. So I'm starting with this little couple bars of groove where I got the rhythm there, but I don't have any of the melodies yet. And now I'm setting up that like pickup. So it's got the Mario cadence, and then it's got a couple chords before that for just this like big lift. And just getting a bunch of these like woodwind runs in there, just to make this like as epic as possible. Because these songs, like, they just grab your attention immediately with like this crazy intro. And a lot of songs have this like kind of synth pad in the background, so I just added something like that. I'm adding a variation to this melody because I want this to lead back into the A section. So it needs to end on like a G, because that's like the fifth of C. Since I'm repeating the G 2 bars in a row, I can just do this like sus4 to major thing. And that'll like really pull right into the C major chord, especially because that B is not even in the key of D minor. You just sneak out of D minor without the listener really noticing. That's it. That's the song. Okay, a little bonus thing here. I wanted to elaborate on the notes that I took that I didn't include in songs. So a lot of the songs in the OST use piano and harp for the same purposes, and so sometimes they might layer them on top of each other. Sometimes instead of it being a variation of the phrase, it's just a repetition of the phrase with a different harmony under it, so just like a different chord under it. Ostinatos are common, so a lot of time, like in that intro section right before the A section, there's this ostinato, which is like a really short melody that repeats over and over. Usually it's only like a few notes, and a lot of time these are arpeggios. Like one example I can think of is Space Junk Galaxy has like a arpeggio that repeats. Electric guitars are not very commonly used in this OST, but when they are, it's always super quiet and always like fully panned to one side. Like you can hear that in like Beach Bowl Galaxy, for example. I noticed that a lot of time when they use mallet percussion, they use like a synth instead of a real mallet. Even though this is primarily an orchestral OST, there's a ton of electronic elements just in every song. A lot of time it is just an A and a B section, but some songs do have C sections, and that C section, similar to the B section, it's got different chords and different melodies. Sometimes it'll pull some instruments from the A section, but the big thing is that the C section is building up to like this giant climax. So there'll be this like big anthemic melody, and then it goes into this big cadence, and then it uses that intro section before the A section as a way to bring the energy back down before going back into the A section. Yeah, there's just like this really spacey synth that like shows up in the background a lot. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm gonna link this big spreadsheet that has sound sources for pretty much every video game ever, so you can find like actual synth patches and sample libraries that they would have used in this soundtrack. A line cliche is kind of like when you have multiple chords in a row and there's one note that is just going up or down in half steps, and the other notes are staying the same. The only example of that I can think of off the top of my head is in Good Egg Galaxy. For some of the songs, they are entirely electronic, except for like a lead instrument that is a real instrument. I think that just helps tie everything together. There's a lot of songs that like I didn't even notice that have like this acid bass in the background, like a saw wave, but it's got like a filter on it with a high resonance. A lot of songs are only a few instruments just arranged in a way that sounds huge. The main thing with these songs is covering the whole frequency spectrum. It's not really about like having a full orchestra in every song. Like a lot of time there are brass and strings and stuff, but songs that I felt like were really grandiose, they don't actually have that many instruments playing at once. Just each instrument is filling like a big part of the frequency spectrum. And then just a little thing, they use a sitar as like a way of representing heat. So in any like hot levels, there's always a sitar.